You've seen him time and time again. Wdage, one of the most imposing trainers in North America. We actually saw his Vigoroth farm down a Gligar to defeat Onion Frank earlier in the winners semifinals. Over on the other side of the screen, we have Arrohh, though. He's been running that Carbink. We're not going to wait at all. We're going to get right into these battles, guys. Game number 1, winners finals. Here we go.
And here's that Vigoroth you were just talking about leading into that Skarmory. With Rockslide, this is actually a much better matchup than before, but these Steel Wings are going to add up very quickly.
All right, well, I'm very curious to see how this Carbink performs in the back. We did see a little bit of Carbink action earlier on in the day, but here comes Skarmory immediately going for, I believe this was that Brave Bird, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed, does get shielded up. Nice shield from Wdage.
Instant shield from Wdage, and does bring in that Gligar by Arrohh, but unfortunately met by Wdage's Azumarill. This is a fantastic matchup for the Azumarill, but maybe on Arrow's side a little bit intentional, right? Carbink now gets to avoid this Azumarill.
Yeah, but at the same time, Wdage has built 2 answers to that Carbink. Probably Azumarill is your best answer, but you have a good answer as well with that Gligar hanging around in the back, able to hit super effective with its digs as well. But you have to love this Ice Beam. This does threaten to knock out. Arrohh actually prioritizing the HP on this Gligar, wants to keep it in the battle.
That Gligar does have a little bit of energy, potentially hoping to get off another charge attack. We do see him throwing the dig here. This would actually put the Azumarill very low. Wdage doesn't care though, letting that go, and I think you're going to get a couple more bubbles before going down. Maybe even the Ice Beam, actually.
What would be interesting is if you're able to realign that Carbink versus the Vigoroth, where that's going to be a pretty solid matchup for you. In fact, yes, Arrohh wanting to take this to the 2 shield will be wing attacking down and coming into this next matchup with a lot of energy. Vigoroth, keep in mind though, I think it has quite a bit of energy as well. And actually, we have a charge attack priority here. This Body Slam will knock out, so all of this energy on the Gligar from Arrohh will be neutralized thanks to all the energy from this Vigoroth.
Yeah, and I think Wdage is in a little bit of an advantageous position right now. Arrohh has already invested 2 Protect Shields into that Gligar and into its energy, but that was all just taken out by Wdage's Body Slam just now.
Yeah, I'm a little curious why we didn't actually get to see the Carbink come in there. I felt like that would have been a little bit more of a dominant matchup. Perhaps just wanting to sacrifice this Skarmory and then have the Carbink be your closer. Actually did not build up to the Brave Bird here. This is just a Sky Attack. Either way, it is enough to threaten to knock out. Wdage will use his second Protect Shield on the Vigoroth.
Yeah, no Protect Shields left in this battle, and we do see Arrohh finally bringing in that Carbink. Now, Wdage is able to actually throw Rock Slide here. This is going to deal neutral damage. Those counters are neutral as well. Unfortunately, those Body Slams are resisted, but he's going straight into the Gligar, hoping to get off these digs as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, I'm very curious to see how much damage this dig is going to do. I'm wondering if that Rock Slide was unnecessary, because if you're going to need 2 digs anyway, perhaps the Rock Slide could have been saved later on to go back into the Skarmory later on. Here comes the dig, though. We're about to find out how much this does. So the thing we need to keep in mind is these wing attacks are resisted as well. I think that you're not going to be able to knock out with a Aerial Ace. You need to get to that second dig, which to me means that Rock Slide from the Vigoroth could have served better purpose later in the game.
Carbink is very bulky though, and is going to throw off this Moonblast, putting Gligar down into the red there, and I think Wdage is trying to farm just a little bit more, come out with some energy, and maybe get up a charge attack against that Skarmory when it comes back in.
Well, Skarmory is going to be a great answer to this Gligar. It will resist all of the fast attacks as well as the charged attacks. The question is, will it be able to farm down and hang on? It is in the red here. I think one Aerial Ace even will do it, and yes, Wdage does get to the move. I think this is going to be a Game 1 victory for Wdage.
Didn't even need that Vigoroth in the back, but remember, this is winners finals, and these finals matchups are a best of 5, so Arrohh still has a chance here. It's not just the next game could be, you know, lose or go home, but he still has a chance to take this with 3 games.
Yeah, you took the words right from my mouth. It is a best-of-5 series, so a lot of opportunities still for Arrohh to go back to the drawing board, figure things out. But I have to commend Wdage on a very smart read of bringing 2 answers to that Carbink. Not only the Azumarill, but also that Gligar as well. And I think for Wdage, that Gligar was the MVP, at least in that game. And I think it's had a strong showing this entire tournament, Soph.
Definitely, and it has a great matchup against Arrow's team as well. You know, does well against that Charge-a-Bug, of course. The only real counter is that Skarmory, which it didn't really see until the very end of that battle.
Yeah, we can see actually a great shield decision early on, being willing to go down 1 shield on that Brave Bird, shielding a Brave Bird as well as a Sky Attack later on. But what was so key here is Arrohh coming out of this Gligar matchup had a move stored, but Wdage 2 Body Slams stored, able to neutralize all of that energy and put himself ahead in the matchup. If he didn't have that move stored, I don't know that Wdage would have won that game.
I think that's a great call. I think that actually was a critical point in the game, right? Arrohh, like we said, investing both shields in that Gligar and not really able to get all of the mileage out of it, right? Ordinarily, when you invest your shields, maybe you're hoping to come out with energy and get those shields back, but unfortunately lost that charge attack priority, just like you mentioned.
Well, let's move to game number 2. Wdage is going to be bringing the defense form Deoxys here, met with the Lickitung. While you do super effective counters, you're also taking back super effective licks. You have to give a little bit of the advantage, I think, to the Lickitung here, knowing that you can't really throw that Psycho Boost consistently without debuffing yourself.
Yeah, Rock Slide here coming from the defense form Deoxys, not quite as efficient of a move as Psycho Boost, but like you said, doesn't drop that attack, which is going to be really good, so Wdage can actually stay in here and continue doing damage with these super effective counters.
What's going to be so key is this Gligar for Wdage. If it gets lined up versus Skarmory, that's the nightmare. If you get it lined up versus Charge Bug, it is going to be best case scenario. So I'm very curious to see how this lead matchup plays out for Wdage and Arroh.
Well, looks like Arrow's letting the Psycho Boost go. I think he has a Body Slam stored though, so it is going to come down to like the last couple of licks here, as well as this Body Slam that's about to land.
Yeah, I think this Body Slam is actually could get shielded by Wdage. No, decides to let it go. Wdage does not have another move stored, despite and actually quick swaps out into the Gligar. This will bring out the Skarmory. A great response from Arroh. He's going to be able to get to these Sky attacks. You are hitting neutral with all of your attacks. Meanwhile, Wdage's Gligar can only throw resisted damage. The dig is going to be slightly more efficient, and this does only hit for single resisted, but you can see that doesn't really do much to that Skarmory at all.
Yeah, this is exactly where that Skarmory wants to be. Like we said, really the only answer to Gligar on Arrow's entire team, and it's found its mark here, able to take these digs no problem, and I expect Arrow to get a little bit of an advantage out of this matchup, come out with some health, come out with some energy to threaten whatever comes in.
Well, we do need to keep in mind the Rock Slide on the Vigoroth as well. That could be a potential answer to this Charge Bug, especially if shields go down for Arrow. But I don't think he has any reason to shield currently in this matchup right now. He's going to be able to get to the Sky attack. If he's counting, he's going to be throwing right on charge attack priority. Great play by Arrow. Wdage in a tough spot, has not knocked any shields out of the way. This Skarmory still has plenty of HP, will likely get to another move. Meanwhile, you're going to need to fully rely on this Vigoroth. We could see a potential catch here. That could be an impact. Let's see. No, actually unable to catch, but still Arrow throws the energy, not wanting to get farmed down.
Yeah, Wdage able to absorb all this energy from Skarmory with that Deoxys defense, and now going to be putting it all on that Vigoroth. Just like you said, definitely still has play against Charge Bug with that Rock Slide. But, in the two-shield situation, potentially, you need to land a Rock Slide, but a Body Slam might be enough to deal the last little bit of damage.
Vigoroth may have the answer here to knock out, but no, a great shield by Arrow, shielding the Rock Slide, doing his very best to come back. You're going to need to get to 3 charge attacks, one more to crack the shield, and then another one to knock out. We saw the first one get shielded right away. This is the Rock Slide. No shield from Arrow. I'm curious how much damage this is going to do. It is super effective. Almost brings it down to nothing. It's still in the red, though. We do have, I believe, 2 X's are stored, though, so...
Yeah, Arrow has a lot of energy here. Wdage throwing up the first Protect Shield. Gonna need to throw up the second very soon, and potentially at this point, do you just go for fast attacks, or do you think he's going to be able to reach double Body Slam? Now, Arrow already at 2 charge moves.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you get to these 2 X-Scissors. Arrow recognizing that Wdage is not gonna be able to farm down, has 2 X-Scissors ready to go. Wdage does not have a swap out here either. There's no catch opportunity, so you charge attack priority, you have the shield as Arrow. It does do 1 damage still, even through the shield, but this Charge Bug has enough HP to withstand the 1 damage, and we will see this X-Scissor knock out this Vigoroth. I expect to see Arrow even up the series 1-1 here.
Yeah, unfortunately for Wdage, that Vigoroth just didn't have enough time to knock out that Charge Bug, even with that super effective Rock Slide landing. Charge Bug is a pretty bulky Pokemon. Like you said, great plays from Arrow there, taking advantage of that Gligar swap-in from Wdage. In these matchups against top players, just little things like that, losing the alignment and bringing in a good counter Pokemon and coming out with an advantage, that really makes a difference in the entire game.
And it's so crucial to shield a Rock Slide early on too there. So if you end up shielding Body Slams or letting a Rock slide through early, that allows Wdage to then just go straight for Body Slams, which he can pace to much quicker than those Rock Slides. Let's take a look at the replay. We can actually see early game, this Body Slam does land, not enough to knock out, but it sets up a farm down. Wdage recognizing that actually brings in his Gligar, but that is the worst case scenario because Arrow has the response. It is the Skarmory, and that Skarmory response I think was key to this game number 2.
Yeah, that was a really pivotal moment there with Wdage losing switch advantage. Just like you said, Gligar would have had a great matchup versus that Charge Bug in the back, but unfortunately Wdage realized he was going to lose switch, and here we are in this game 3, Lickitung versus Charge Bug.
Okay, I'm very curious to see how this defense form Deoxys will actually perform for Wdage. It's actually in the switch scenario now versus being in the lead. We're going to be seeing Arrow immediately throwing this X-Scissor right away versus Wdage, not waiting whatsoever, and he does have 2 pretty solid answers to this Lickitung. I can see a potential swap maybe to his own Lickitung, but for now they're going to be playing it out.
Yeah, this is a pretty neutral matchup, Lickitung versus Charger Bug, but I have to give the edge just a little bit to Lickitung, and just like you said, Arroh swapping out, but actually going into the Poliwrath and met by the Azumarill. How many times have we seen this, Wholesome?
Arroh continually finds his Poliwrath going up against Azumarills. Now keep in mind, Arroh is the only of 4 Poliwraths in Top Cut, the only one to be running non-shadow, so that does allow it to take one charge attack a little bit better. Does not get the attack debuff here, 50% chance. Arrow actually shakes his head. He needs those attack debuffs so that he can tank potentially that 3rd play rough after his shields are down.
We've seen Arroh time and time again in this matchup. It does go on for quite a long time, so if you throw out both shields and then leave, your Poliwrath actually leaves with a significant amount of health and still able to do things in the back, while the Azumarill, as you can see, doesn't want to shield any of these resistant moves, but it's already below half health.
Yeah, if your main answer to Poliwrath is going to be your own Azumarill, it does make sense eventually to probably invest 1 shield, just knowing that that's probably going to be your main response. But let's not forget that Wdage does have the Lickitung as well with access to Power Whip. With these bubbles, it is likely put it in range that a Power Whip will knock out. Arrow, yet again, for every game that I see, investing 2 shields into this Poliwrath when it's lined up versus the Azumarill.
The good news for Wdage, though, is that in the past, when Arrow was double shielding his Poliwrath versus Azumarill, the opponent didn't really have a great way to take out the rest of this Poliwrath. But like you mentioned, Wdage has 2 Pokemon that have super effective charge attacks that don't take too long to get to, and potentially Wdage is going to be able to take out this Poliwrath very soon with the Psycho Boost.
I like the overfarm there from Wdage, not immediately throwing that Psycho Boost, right? You would have had a charge attack priority. He's going to be able to overfarm now and actually maybe come out with 2 Psycho Boosts, but no, a quick swap into the Lickitung. This is a little bit of an awkward situation for Wdage. He wants to get this counter damage off, which takes a while to add up over time. Meanwhile, though, the Lickitung is chipping away its HP with those super effective licks.
Yeah, Arrow just has the health advantage in this matchup. Like we said, went down 2 shields, but now these fast attacks are adding up so much on the defense form Deoxys. Wdage's own Lickitung, not very healthy as well, and not going to fare too well in the mirror because of that health disadvantage.
Well, let's remember that Wdage did just swap out with a Psycho Boost stored. He's going to have that late game, and it will do a lot of damage into that Poliwrath, maybe even enough to knock out. Could be enough for that Charger Bug as well. Arrow does still have all 3 Pokemon remaining, all with a decent amount of health as well, all still in the yellow. So Wdage needs to have a lot of effect from this Lickitung. This one Body Slam is not going to knock out. I don't even know if the next Body Slam is going to knock out.
I don't think so. I think Wdage is going to need to go for a Power Whip. We might see him invest the shield here, try to farm up as much as he can while he's taking these double resisted licks. That's exactly what we see, and I think Wdage is going to farm up, maybe go for that Power Up, because like you said, I don't think Body Slam is quite enough here. Oh, we actually see a swap from Arrow.
Okay, Arrow does bring in the Charge Bug, and actually was about to get to this X-Scissor. Nice recognition by Wdage. Throws the Body Slam, knowing that he has to throw right away. Now, Arrow's going to be in a little bit of an awkward position as well. How much do you overfarm? Actually throws right away, wants to get this Licky off the field. I believe that Arrow is now on the cycle where he is going to need 3 Volt Switches to get to his next X-Scissor. But keep in mind, this defense form Deoxys does not have a lot of HP. It does not want to take these Volt Switches whatsoever. Will we see a double Psycho Boost here? I think you're going to need 3 charge attacks to knock out all of these Pokemon.
I think that's right. You have the Psycho Boost for the Poliwrath, you have the Rock Slide for the Charge Bug right here, but you don't have a way to take out that Lickitung in the back, unfortunately for Wdage. I think Arrow is in a great position to take this 2-to-1 advantage.
This is absolutely wild. Yes, this likely will knock out this Poliwrath, but you're now debuffing your own attack, and you're going to have to still get through this Lickitung. It's still in the yellow, or sorry, just out of the yellow, and a lick down is exactly what we see. Arrow, despite dropping game 1, has now won 2 consecutive. He is 1 game away from moving to the Grand Finals, which would actually be his 2nd time in the Grand Finals. This is very, very exciting, Soph.
Arrow playing extremely well. I keep thinking, you know, Arrow's going down 2 shields. That's ordinarily not what you want to see, but I think Arrow is really prioritizing that health advantage over shield advantage, which usually is what we see prioritized, the shield advantage, I mean. But here, Arrow is playing very well. Again, Poliwrath versus Azumarill doesn't seem like a great matchup, but you're able to chip away so much at the Azumarill.
Well, what's really difficult is when you're trying to put it all on one Pokemon to be a closer, like a Lickitung or a defense form Deoxys. They don't have those moves that are one-hit KOs, so it's so hard to sweep. We did see an attempt here by Wdage actually knocking out this Poliwrath, but unfortunately did not have enough left in the tank to knock out the Lickitung. All right, we're moving into game number 4 here, guys. This is going to be very pivotal. Wdage needs to figure out a way to even up the series 2-2. He's going to find his Vigoroth up against the Carbink. You have to give the advantage to the Carbink. It has all same type attack bonus attacks, whereas this Vigoroth is having to throw non-stab counter and non-stab rock slide.
and not just the efficiency of those attacks. You see Carbink is such a bulky Pokemon, taking all these counters, but the rock throws are really doing a lot of damage. Wdage able to get out that first rock slide, but does so little.
Okay, well, keep in mind this Gligar for Wdage. Remember that it got lined up versus that Skarmory in the past. It could happen again, but no, this is the Azumarill actually catching this rock slide. A very nice play by Wdage. How does Arroh respond here? He brings in his Skarmory. This could free up that Gligar in the back for Wdage.
That's a great call at Wdage, potentially realizing that Azumarill is so good against that Carbink, and he doesn't know that that Gligar is in the back, but forcing Arrow into the Skarmory means that, just like you said, the Gligar is going to be able to avoid it. I think Wdage has a lot of play all of a sudden.
All right, well, so is this matchup different now with Steel Wing compared to with Air Slash in the past with Skarmory?
Well, these Steel Wings are adding up quite a bit. I think in the past, it was a little bit better for Azumarill just because you have Bubble and Ice Beam, and those are very neutral. Skarmory was kind of throwing these inefficient charge attacks, but now Steel Wing does more damage, and I think this is a charge attack priority there.
Yeah, I think that was actually, and with that chip damage from the Carbink earlier on, now the Sky Attack all of a sudden is knocking out the Azumarill. You still have a very healthy Skarmory. You somehow need to find, hey, how am I going to get through this? Wdage, if he's counting, probably going to be almost maximizing to 100 energy, just short of 2 rock slides. One should knock out after those counters, but this Vigoroth is having to do so much work, and what it keeps finding itself is in situations where it's going up against a Pokemon with non-same type attack bonus moves. Here's the problem though, this Gligar is going to likely be swapped in, but it's going to be met by another Gligar. Wdage will probably have an energy advantage, but it's going to need to get through 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, and here we do see that Gligar mirror, just like you mentioned. Unfortunately, this is a very neutral matchup, and that Vigoroth in the back is going to have to see the Carbink again later. Arrow is letting this Aerial Ace go, but maybe that energy advantage is going to come in handy for Wdage.
I think a 2-shield Carbink looks so strong right here because you're going to be resisting the wing attacks if you do come back into that matchup. Arrow doing a great job of throwing just before Wdage gets to his own Aerial Ace. Wdage recognizing that Gligar is going to be his most impactful Pokemon right now and trying to prioritize its HP.
Fully expecting Wdage to invest both shields into the Gligar. Just like you said, it's going to be the key to taking out this Gligar and the Carbink. Arrow, though, trying to put it all on that Carbink.
I don't think a lot of trainers were expecting Carbink in this tournament, to be honest, and I think some trainers are feeling a little awkward when they're having to figure out responses to it. I don't think any of these Pokemon on Wdage's team right now are feeling very comfortable versus that Carbink, but we can see Wdage using both shields, just like Game 3, Arrow going down 2 shields. Wdage has now gone down 2 shields. He has a lot of energy, and he needs to take out this Carbink. This would be a huge no shield by Arrow. It is the Aerial Ace, but we are going to be seeing the shield from Arrow.
Yeah, this Carbink is still so healthy and does still have another Protect Shield remaining. You just need to take out this Gligar with a charge move. Expect to see the Moon Boss coming through, and then of course that Vigoroth in the back. I believe it has a little bit of energy, but this Carbink still has a shield and is going to be able to probably knock it out soon.
It currently has 5 counters, needs 1 more to get to the 6th counter for that Rock Slide. You need to land a Rock Slide here, and this is actually going to be very interesting.
Going to be very close. Yeah.
Let's it go. This is going to be resisted Body Slam. You might be able to get to 1 more. These Rock throws do add up relatively quick. A huge call by Arrow. You do get to the Rock Slide. I think that Arrow has to shield this one at this point. Doesn't have anything left in the tank, but I think you're going to be able to farm down. And does that Gligar have any energy swapping out?
I don't think so. I think it just has a couple HP. Oh, it has an Aerial Ace!
Okay, I don't think this Aerial Ace is going to be enough, unfortunately. I think that Rock Slide definitely is going to be the harder hitting move. Maybe if Wdage had been able to throw the Rock Slide early on, this could have been a different game, but no. Arrow does lock in his journey to the Grand Finals here in San Antonio with a 3-1 victory versus Wdage, taking down an absolute titan. He's going to have to wait and find out who he's going to be facing, but congratulations to Arrow. What an incredible journey, though, he's had so far here in his home state.